Check.
Watching around the world.
Pull up the seat and pull out your shot glass. Card deliveries for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up ballin' out on they fraud ass. The coalition of bitches, they talk trash. On the mission to fit in your soft ass. Rolling green and clubbing this golf class. Loaded lust couldn't say they lost ass. The campus community streets is all sad. Niggas be thinking the heat they all last. Be conscious of all the sand in the hourglass. Be humble when be prepared when the power pass. Old and young niggas, we all clash. Ideology different, we move the ball fast. Yeah, these chickens is out of season, we haul ass. There's a reason we undefeated, it's all fast. Pull up a seat and pull out a shot glass. Card deliveries for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up ballin' out on they fraud ass. Pull up a seat and pull out a shot glass. Card deliveries for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up ballin' out on they fraud ass.
Build me an audience.
What it is though.
Build.
Take y'all on a journey. Notorious.
Build.
Victorious. Yeah, yo. I ain't asking for a friend, I need to know myself. And if you never ask, how would you know yourself? It's crazy how your parents know you more than you know yourself. Growth is good, it's important just to know your wealth.
Build.
Don't let them take advantage like niggas who speak Spanish.
Build that audience.
Of it. The game will make you trip a bit. Street money is cool till you get sick of it.
We ain't got no chat yet, Brass. A peace to you.
Make sure you stay on your square and keep a strong pivot.
Me, you, and Sosa. Come on in, y'all. Wipe y'all feet off when y'all come in here. Hit that like button.
And once you know better, you will show better.
Say what's up in the chat.
But me, I love a go-getter. Your ex pussy wet, but that new pussy be so wetter. No lies detected, just get high and accept it. Go ahead, talk to him, y'all ain't beefing like that. Come on, Doug, why you being like that? Man, let's keep it a stack. Why you say it if you ain't mean it like that? And when you say him, you ain't give him no rap. Man, let's keep it a stack. You ain't gotta say you gon' be right back. Stop bluffing, shorty, keep it a stack. Once you start something, you can't just leave it like that. Finish the job, homie, keep it a stack. When I was coke dealing, the rules was no squealing, no stealing from your mans and no feelings. For these hoes, that's just gonna mess up the guap. 10 toes down whenever you on your block. Even when you ain't, don't know them from a can of paint. Just be loyal and trustworthy. You ain't gotta be a saint.
Ain't gotta be a
lot
saint.
of y'all be geeking, backstabbing and sneaking. Nose clean during the week,
but they dabble on weekends.
Oh nigga, I be peeping. Your niggas might be sleeping,
but I was trained
to tread water in the deep end. Jellyfish sting, but them sharks will bite your head off. Run up on you while you park, get the dumping.
And then they split off.
The hood know who did it. Now let's see if your homies with it, or your name die in vain cause one of your homies did it. Ain't no reason to kill your man over a kilogram. How you thinking y'all fan?
Then spin you like a ceiling fan.
Go ahead, talk to him, y'all ain't beefing like that. Come on, Doug, why you being like that? Let's keep it a stack. Why you saying if you ain't mean it like that? And when you see him, you ain't give him no rap. But let's keep it a stack. You ain't gotta tell me you gon' be right back. Stop bluffing, shorty, keep it a stack.
Keep it a stack.
And once you start something, can't just leave it like that. Finish the job, homie, keep it a stack. While I'm still rapping at 40.
Well, let's talk about it.
First of all, my life's amazing.
Let's get about it.
Wife is blazing, and her kids get their life savings. Follow the drip, nigga.
My eyes glazing.
Yo, FSO, in the best that flow. Bars, storytelling, visuals, cadence and concepts, content, impact. Yeah, the boxes is all checked. I just need that one song. Yeah, that one song. And I could clutch the earth with just one palm. Never anxious, look in my eyes, I'm dumb calm. They either gon' walk with you or you gon' run for them. Either way,
we gon' have to let that heater spray.
Lose yourself, might even have to put that weed away. Now that's a lotto, that's my medication. Gotta stay high, yo, till a nigga die, yo. Album out now, hit the link in my bio. Go ahead, talk to him, you ain't beefing like that. Come on, Doug, why you being like that? Now let's keep it a stack. Why you say it gotta tell me you gonna be right back. Stop bluffing, shorty, keep it a stack. Once you start something, can't just leave it like that. Finish the job, homie, keep it a stack.
Yeah, y'all. Hold on. I got one more. I always gotta give props to our resident artist on the channel, and that's my man DQ Hampton. You feel me? This is like one of my favorite songs from DQ Hampton. One of the first songs that I ever played the DQs, and it's a banger. When the brother blow up, I always say, remember, people go back and listen to your catalog, right? Once you blow up, I'm telling y'all, this is going to be one of them songs that they always go back to and say, yo, when I first knew DQ was nice is when I heard this song. This going to be the one. You heard me. Trust me. Haskell in the building. Peter Bag Juice.
Yeah.
Fetty.
DQ.
Fetty Wap.
Check.
Have you
Ever had a dream in the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In a room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right. Alright. Nigga, have you ever had a dream during the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In the room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move.
DQ, you killed this shit, bro.
Calculated every step, so I can't stand a hater out here hating on. Niggas out here making moves. See, I hand out the type of shit they waiting on. I'm the type to overlook a hand, cause the wrong step will cost an arm and leg. Niggas tripping, signing deals in red. I'ma hit the booth and make some hits instead. Light years ahead. We done go short a couple of albums, see we up for the challenge. Now I'm focused on the bread. But these niggas be fucking understanding when it come to my talents. It just pop up past when it come to the salad. Yeah, zips to the head. And we never mind hating consumers when it come to the rumors, cause we put them hoes to bed. Oh yeah, niggas try to take the page out my book and take the same steps I took. Network and cultivating relationships.
Say this shit don't bump.
For real overlook. Whole squad moving like we Voltron. Yeah, the whole nine looking like a gold mine. I'ma show mine, nigga, when it's go time. I'ma blow mine, niggas, when it's showtime. Niggas try to take the page out my book and take the same steps I took.
Logic, what up?
Working relationship.
We up in there.
Overlook. Whole squad moving like we Voltron. Yeah, the whole nine looking like a gold mine. Only show mine, nigga, when it's go time. I'ma blow mine, niggas, when it's showtime. Yes, sir. Have you ever had a dream in the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In a room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right. Alright. Nigga, have you ever had a dream during the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down.
Our Sonic in the building.
Ever really thought about the limelight? In the room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right. Yeah. Big dreams, nightmares and monsters. Pimp thieves, hoes, thoughts and choppers. Crooked oppers, play cops and robbers. Siblings, smoke weed's the mantra. Weigh risk against shit that cost us. Hit a lick, it tastes bitter sweet. You just a good soul, you wanna save the world, but you ain't they type, so they hit delete. Wholesome souls die and world's incomplete. So I chase the pain so I can chase my dreams. Liquor is licorice inside my candy shop. Candy paint drop with wood grain supreme. Good for it, I'm good for it. Sorry the wave, you the real, you look for him. Pressing your luck and I wish you would for us. You don't want a person, nigga, that be living on this North Star. So close, but I'm so far. I'm a tiger in the woods, but I swing like a home run.
Holistically on par.
You don't really want war, but I'm raw like a tennis racket. How about Venus, but I'm on Mars. So went the galactic is soup for your solar. Bring it back now. You don't want a person, nigga, that be living on this North Star. So close, but I'm so far. I'm a tiger in the woods, but I swing like a home run.
Holistically on par.
You don't really want war, but I'm raw like a tennis racket. How about Venus, but I'm on Mars. So went the galactic is soup for your solar. Virgo.
Have you
ever had a dream in the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In a room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right. Alright. Nigga, have you ever had a dream during the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In the room full of stars when you you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right.
Fire, fire, fire. You feel me? Some fire shit right there. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Carnivorous Podcast. My bad. Let me wait till this camera get in focus. All right, bam. There we go. Welcome to the Carnivorous Podcast, right? Powered by TMI, right? I am finally live in probably a month, right? My birthday is Friday. I said, let me get a show in before Friday, before my weekend. I started up the new channel, right? For everybody, Chef Madness is coming back. So if you're not subscribed to the new channel, there go the link right there. Do me a favor, go over there and hit that subscribe button for your boy, because I am ramping it back up, right? And if you like the content that I'm going to produce tonight, this is going to be kind of the flavor, right? That I'm going to bring to Chef Madness. That's what I was doing about a year ago before I started all these new topics. I was just covering history, things that I felt as though was intriguing to me, right? World history, Black history. I love history. So I'm going back into that. I'm also do some current topics. This page will still be up, so stay here, right? All of my discussions that I have about the topics that I'll be covering on Chef Madness, the open panel discussions will be held over here, right? So you're going to watch the content of Chef Madness on the Chef Madness channel, right? So hit that subscribe, click that link, subscribe up, all right? And the after shows and the live discussions will be held over here on the Carnivorous Podcast, all right? That's what I want to do with that. So since I got that out the way, man, see, even when I start shows with rap music, it puts me in a whole nother state of mind. Tonight we're doing the Ballot of the Bullet, Malcolm X's The Ballot of the Bullet versus MLK's Letter from Birmingham Jail, right? I feel as though these two Noslin, I feel like these two this speech of Malcolm X's and this letter from Martin Luther King, I think it encapsulated the quintessential message, right? And aim and goal of both of these brothers. And from my standpoint of reading them, right, I feel like both of these brothers were radicals, right? Both of them. All right. If you ever had an African American literature course, right? If you ever took an African American literature course, you actually read both of these, the letter and the speech, right? In the African American literature course in the textbook, they have, any teacher worth note is gonna make you study and write papers on these two pieces by these two brothers of that time. All right, and then another thing that's in the African American literature book, hip hop, right? In the textbook, hip hop. What stood out to me the most, the hip hop that they took and put in this African American literature textbook, was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Rakim, what's happening? Peace. Rakim and the Furious Five. I mean, damn. Rakim and the Furious Five. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Melly Mel's masterpiece, right? I'll say that reading it, you get a whole nother perspective. Now, this was like 1982, right? This brother could rap so good in the 70s, in the early 80s. Like, it's rare to hear modern artists be able to be this vivid right? This spot on with his social commentary. You know, it was the message. The song is even called The Message, right? So I'm going to read that first before I get it, because just listening to DQ and them, I just said, man, God damn, I want to do this, right? So let me go over here. Let's go over here. All right. All right, this is the Ballot of the Bullet, but let me back up first for a second. And let's go right here. Hold on, let me get this out the way. We just gonna read what's going on, Pan-African James. We just gonna read the last verse. God damn it. I didn't do this. We just gonna read the last verse, right? Melly Mel's The Message. Grandmaster Fashion of Furious 5. Melly Mel's the last verse, right? Just think how dope this is, right? Right? He says, a child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. God's smiling on you, but he's frowning too, because only God knows what you'll go through. Now, he's talking about black people living in the ghetto, right? Now, he's coming out of the 70s. Listen to him. He says, a child is born with no state of mind. He's blind to the ways of mankind. He says, God is smiling on you, but he's frowning too, because only God knows what you'll go through. He says, you'll grow up in the ghetto living second rate, and your eyes will sing a song called Deep Hate. The places you play and where you stay looks like one great big alleyway. He said, you'll admire all the number book takers, the thugs, the pimps, and pushers, and the big money makers. They are driving big cars, spending 20s and 10s, and you'll want to grow up to be just like them. He says, smugglers, scramblers, burglars, gamblers, pickpocketers, peddlers, even panhandlers. He says, you'll say, I'm cool, I'm no fool, but then you'll wind up dropping out of high school. It's crazy. He says, now you're unemployed, all non-void, still walking around like your pretty boy Floyd. You turned into a stick-up kid, but look what you done did. You got sent up to an 8-year bid. Now your manhood is took, and you're a Maytag. Spend the next 2 years as the undercover fag, being used and abused and served like hell, till one day you was found hung dead in a cell. It was plain to see that your life was lost. You was cold and your body swung back and forth. But now your eyes sing a sad, sad song of how you lived so fast and died so young. Psh. Crazy. This brother could rap so good. Piece by piece. Now let me give it to you in real time of how he spit it, right? A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. God smiling on you, but he's frowning too, because only God knows what you'll go through. You'll grow up in the ghetto living second rate, and your eyes will sing a song called Deep Hate. The places you play and where you stay looks like one great big alleyway. You'll admire All the number book takers, thugs, pimps, and pushers, and the big money makers. Driving big cars, spending 20s and 10s, and you want to grow up to be just like them, huh? Smugglers, scramblers, burglars, gamblers, pickpockets, peddlers, even panhandlers. You say, I'm cool, huh? I'm no fool, but then you wind up dropping out of high school. Now you're unemployed, all non-void, walking around like your pretty boy Floyd. Turn stick-up kid, but look what you done did. Got sent up to an 8-year bid. Now your manhood is took and you're a maid tag. Spend the next few years as an undercover fag spend the next few years as an undercover bag being used and abused and served like hell. To one day you was found hung dead in the cell. It was plain to see that your life was lost. You was cold and your body swung back and forth. But now your eyes sing the sad, sad song of how you live so fast and die so young. Crazy. 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 This thing, that was 1982. This brother could rap that good in 1982. Crazy, right? I mean, and the song is so good. The lyrics, you know, you can picture everything, right? Just think of the Bronx, right? In the late 70s, early 80s, right? They explained it so vividly. Even if we go back up, right? And I'm gonna get into the Ballot of the Bullet, but I'm just waiting for everybody to get in here. Give me a second. Let me build. Yeah, that man, hey, the truth, that's dope, right, man? Like, come on now. So look, let's go back up to even the first verse, right? Even the first verse. All right. He says, broken glass. He's explaining the neighborhood, right? Where he lived, right? He says, broke for a black man, right? In the Bronx in the late 70s, early 80s. He says, it's broken glass is everywhere. People pissing on the stairs. You know they just don't care. I can't take the smell. I can't even take the noise. I got no money, so I got no choice. Rats in the front room and there's roaches in the back. It's junkies in my alley with a baseball bat. I'm trying to get away, but I couldn't get far because the man with a tow truck repossessed my car. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the end. But then let's read that in real time, right? He says, broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the stage. You know they just don't care. I can't take the smell. Can't take the noise. Got no money. Guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room. Roaches in the back. Junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far because the man with the tow truck repossessed my car. So he's telling you, like, their neighborhood is completely wrecked, trash, smelly, glass everywhere. Whole thing. You dig what I'm saying? Even the pressures, right, of trying to get away, he has no money for it, right? The danger is people, I could be mugged in the alley by junkies with weapons, baseball bats and stuff, right? He say he don't got no money, he ain't got no choice, right? He gotta be there. I'm broke. Black people, we broke. I don't want to live in this condition, right? I'm subjected to this condition. I don't want to live in this condition. I'm subjected to this condition, right? So I don't have no money to get out. And even when I try to get out, right, the city then towed my car. Pressure. Second verse, right? Even in the second verse, he goes on to explain, the different people, right, that live in the neighborhood, right? And he talks about how they were, you see older people who are has-beens, right? People think that they crazy, but these people had a life before. But the living conditions and the fast life then turned these people into something now that's unrecognizable. Read the second verse. He goes into it. He says, standing on the front stoop, hanging out the window, watching all the cars go, roaring as the breeze blow. He says, crazy lady, right? Everybody's seen one of these people in their neighborhood or a few of them. He says, it's a crazy lady. She's living in a bag, eating out of garbage pails, used to be a fag head. Says she danced the tango, skipped the light fandango. A zircon princess seemed to lose her senses down at the peep show, watching all the creeps, right? He says, so she can tell a story to the girls back home. She went to the city and got so diddy. She had to get a pimp, couldn't make it on her own, right? So let's break that down, right? He says he's standing on the front stoop, hanging out the window, right? He's chilling. Basically, I'm chilling on the block. Nice day, trying to catch a breeze, right? Watching all the cars go, roaring as the breeze blow, right? Creative writing. He's doing creative writing. Now, he's getting into the character that he's talking about, right? He says, it's a crazy lady. He's observing this. There's a crazy lady living in a bag, eating out of garbage pails. Used to be a fag hag. Now, what is a fag hag? A fag hag is somebody from this, or is a woman from what you call a woman back in the 60s and the 70s that hang around homosexual men, right? They call them fag hags, right? So, now I'm not saying that this is a reference from 70s. So I'm not calling anybody a fag. YouTube, don't strike me or anything. I'm reading lyrics from a song, right? So it's a fag hag, right? So she says, she used to dance the tango, skip the life fandango, right? Now, meaning she was in the clubs, partying, dancing, right? And then she got hooked on drugs. Zircon. She was a zircon princess, right? She was a pill popper, right? She says, down at the peep show, watching all the creeps, right? So she could tell a story to her girls back home, right? So meaning he's telling the story of a female who left and moved to the big city, right? And got turned out, right? He sees her now eating out of garbage cans, right? Crazy lady living in a bag, right? But she came to the city, right, for the big life. She started hanging out with the homosexual community, right? And using drugs, right? She couldn't make it in the city, right? So she had to go get a pimp. She got turned out. This is crazy. This is what he's putting down. Man, y'all don't get it, man. Because y'all hear songs, but y'all don't hear songs, right? The prose and the way that the creative writing was so good that this makes it into the African-American literature, right? So hip-hop is so ingrained in African-Americans' culture, right? That even the lyrics from our songs, right? Remember, our rap artists are also writers. They are poets. They are writers, right? So sometimes they can do it at such a high level that it can enter into literature, right? This song in 1982 was done at such a high level, right? Capturally in late 70s and early 80s that their prose has been put into the canon of African-American literature. Let's get those brothers a hand. Get those brothers a hand for that, right? Dope. All right. Where we at? Anybody with me? Anybody feeling that before I move on to the Ballot of the Bullet? Was anybody feeling that? Rakim, the pen game was sharp. That's a fact, right? That was a fact. Man, I just wanted to do that. I know I derailed the show a little bit, but we gonna get into it. My bad. Okay. Hold on. Let me send this. Somebody's saying they can't see the video. I don't know why. Hold on, let me get that back up. All right, let me see why you can't see the video. Give me a second, y'all. Boom. Okay. Okay, it's up. You can see it now. All right, there we go. Donnie, what's up? Okay, Haskell, we about to get into. Haskell says, what's a Maytag? A Maytag is an old school reference, Haskell. You wasn't here when people was using it. You was probably still in Jamaica, right? So a Maytag, a Maytag is somebody who's getting punked, right? I'll say that. Being used up, right? Being used. A Maytag is somebody who gets pushed over, get used for whatever. You dig what I'm saying? Somebody call you a Maytag is basically saying, you know, you're a gump. You getting used up. You know what I mean? You letting people push you over. You're a stepping stone. You dig what I'm saying? People use you to you dig what I'm saying? The Maytag. Maytag is like they used to make wash machines, right? And appliances. You're getting used up. You ain't nothing but a machine, right? You do the bidding of somebody else, right? They push your buttons. You're being used, right? You goddamn, you're a machine, right? I guess that's the way I would explain it. A Maytag, right? All right. Let's get into it, y'all. The Ballot of the Bullet. The Ballot of the Bullet. Do I do a monologue on this? Now, the Ballot of the Bullet. Let's see. Malcolm X delivered this pivotal speech on April 3rd in Cleveland, Ohio. Right? Now, in the African American literature book, and everyone of the copy of this speech is trimmed down, right? I would advise everybody to listen to the real speech, right? Because a lot is taken out of this speech to condense it down, right? He said a lot more than he did in the right. They trimmed this down for so you could be able to read it, but he said a lot more, right? If you want to get the full vigor of what he was saying, I say go listen to the speech, right? They have copies of it on YouTube. You can pull it up, the Ballot of the Bullet, but we're going to read the what they pulled out as the most salient points that he made. All right. Okay. Now, this is in 1964, right? This is a year before his death. I think Malcolm X died in 65. Can somebody fact check that for me? I'm doing a lot. Boom. All right. Here we go. No. There we go. All right. Let's see how that look on YouTube. Okay, there we go. All right, everybody can see it. Let's do this. Let's do this. Now, this is the quintessential. Let me move this over. Let me move Malcolm out the way so y'all can see what the brother is talking about. He died in 64? So this was a couple, hold on. No, yeah, he died in 65. Yeah, and this speech is in, all right. Let me see where we at. Okay, here we go. Mr. Moderator, Brother Lomax, brothers and sisters, friends, and enemies. I just can't believe everyone in here is a friend, and I don't want to leave anybody out. The crowd starts to laugh. All right. The question tonight, as I understand it, is the Negro Revolt. And where do we go from here? Or what's next? In my little humble way of understanding it, it points towards either the ballot or the bullet. All right? Now, if you listen to the speech, he didn't get to that point that quickly. All right? There was some drawing out, but let's get to it, right? Because there's some things in here I want to pull out, right? So we can get to it. We're going to discuss some things that he said, and I hope we can get through both pieces tonight, right? I'm going to try to do my best. It's already 10 o'clock. Bear with me, all right? Before we try to explain what is meant by the ballot or the bullet, I would like to clarify something concerning myself. I'm still a Muslim. Now, he was out of the Nation of Islam at this time, so that's why he's saying this, right? He says, before we try to explain what is meant by the ballot or the bullet, I would like to clarify something concerning myself. I'm still a Muslim. My religion is still Islam. That's my personal belief. Just as Adam Clayton Powell is a Christian minister who heads the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York, but at the same time takes part in the political struggles to try and bring about rights to the black people in this country. And Dr. Martin Luther King is a Christian minister down in Atlanta, Georgia, who heads another organization fighting for the civil rights of black people in this country, and Reverend Galamson. I guess you've heard of him. This was another New York minister, Reverend Galamson. I mean, he was a minister, I think in Cleveland. I'm sorry, in Ohio. I guess you've heard of him. Is another New York. I'm sorry, a Christian minister in New York, who has been deeply involved in the school boycotts to eliminate segregated education. Well, I myself am a minister, not a Christian minister, but a Muslim minister. And I believe in action on all fronts by whatever means necessary. Now, by whatever means necessary, we can get into that. But in that context, he was talking about all black people, no matter what religion you are, right? By any means necessary, be active in this, right, struggle. Here we go. Although I'm still a Muslim, I'm not here tonight to discuss my religion. I'm not here to try and change your religion. I'm not here to argue or discuss anything that we differ about, because it's time for us to submerge our differences and realize that it is best for us to first see what we have the same problem, because it is time for us to submerge our differences and realize that it is best for us to first see that we have the same problem, a common problem, a problem that will make you catch hell, whether you're a Baptist or a Methodist or a Muslim or a nationalist, whether you're educated or illiterate, whether you live on the boulevard or in the alley, you're going to catch hell just like I am. We're all in the same boat, and we all are going to catch the same hell from the same man. He just happens to be a white man. He just happens to be a white man. You see that? You see, it wasn't racist. He said he's talking about the system. He said the person or the people that's causing you hell, he said they just happen to be white. Not that it's in their nature or anything like that, right? The circumstances, they just happen to be white. All right. Now, this is a sharp difference from what he was preaching 2 years before this, right? Coming out of the Nation of Islam. Now, let's get into it. He says, all of us have suffered here in this country politically. Has suffered here in this country political oppression at the hands of the white man, economic exploitation at the hands of the white man, and social degradation at the hands of the white man. Now, let him explain it. Watch how he do this. Now, in speaking like this, it doesn't mean that we're anti-white. He says, but it does mean we're anti-exploitation. We're anti-degradation. We're anti-oppression. And if the white man doesn't want us to be anti-him, let him stop oppressing and exploiting and degrading us. Do y'all get the point? Do y'all get the point? Right? That wasn't racism at all. He pointed out, he made a claim. He says that white people in America, right, at this time in 1964, right, was oppressing, exploiting, and degrading Black Americans. He says, I'm not anti-white, I'm anti-exploitation. I'm anti-oppression and anti-degradation, right? And he said if the white man don't want us to be anti-him, then he needs to stop being and exploiting, degrading, and oppressive force on the black person, on the black man in America. That's what he's saying, right? He says, now, in speaking like this, it doesn't mean that we're anti-white, but it does mean that we're anti-exploitation, we're anti-degradation, we're anti-oppression. And if the white man doesn't want us to be anti-him, let him stop oppressing and exploiting and degrading us. Whether we are Christian or Muslim or nationalist or agnostic or atheist, we must first learn to forget our differences. He's talking to black people. If we have differences, let us differ in the closet. When we come out in front, let us not have anything to argue about until we get finished arguing with the man. If the late President Kennedy could get together with Khrushchev and exchange some wheat, we certainly have more in common with each other than Kennedy and Khrushchev had with each other. Think about what he's saying. Y'all in here? He's saying that if President Kennedy could have a meeting with the goddamn president of communist Russia, Khrushchev, and have a meeting with him and exchange wheat products, right? Then how can me and Reverend Clee and Abernathy and Martin Luther King and Elijah Muhammad and A. Philip Randolph and, you know what I mean? How can all of us, right, get together and figure out what's our issue and what's the best plan of action to attack the situation that's oppressing, degrading, and exploiting us? If President of the United States of America, Kennedy, don't even speak the same language as Khrushchev, have two different political ideologies, right? One is a goddamn democracy and one is a communist. One is all the way from Eastern Europe and one is from North America. Look at all of these differences that these two men had. And they could still have a meeting and iron out their differences. But me and Reverend Clee and Elijah Muhammad and A. Philip Randolph and Martin Luther King and Thurgood Marshall, all of us got these same issues and problems, speak the same language. It's under the same type of pressure, and we can't get together and iron out our differences. That is a problem for us. He said, I ain't coming here as a Muslim, you know what I mean? Leave all that stuff alone. He said, even if you're an atheist, leave all that shit at home. Let's go, Malcolm. He killing this shit. He said, if we don't do something real soon, I think you'll have to agree that we're going to be forced to either use the ballot or the bullet. It's one or the other in 1964. It isn't that time is running out. He said time has already run out. He says 1964 threatens to be the most explosive year in America has ever witnessed. The most explosive year. Why? It's also a political year. It's the year when all of the white politicians will be back in the so-called Negro community jiving you and me for some votes. The year when all of the white political crooks will be back in your and my community with their false promises, building up our hopes for a letdown, with their trickery and their treachery, with their false promises, which they don't intend to keep. As they nourish these dissatisfactions, it can only lead to one thing, an explosion. And now we have the type of black man on the scene in America today. I'm sorry, Brother Lomax, who just don't intend to turn the other cheek any longer. Now, this is in 1964. He was telling you that there's a different type of mindset in the Negro now. This ain't the Negro of the 1940s, in the 1930s, right? This Negro is willing to explode. He's not willing to turn the other cheek. He's saying, no matter what Martin Luther King and them tell you, right? This black man is not willing to turn the other cheek. I don't know what Martin Luther King and them then told you, white man. This black man in 1964 ain't for that shit. He want his freedom and his respect and his rights now. You seen this culminate in 1968 with the assassination of Martin Luther King. Black people burnt American cities damn near down to the ground. Malcolm X told you 4 years before that, this black man now ain't turning no cheeks. That is a lie. They're willing to go to jail. If they're out here, they were kids. They were marching. They were sitting in the South. They were, you know what I mean, facing dogs, police dogs, and fire hoses in the South. They were different. Come on now. He tried to warn them. Don't let anybody tell you anything about the odds are against you. If they draft you, they send you to Korea and make you face 800 million Chinese. If you can be brave over there, you can be brave right here. These odds aren't as great as those odds. And if you fight here, you will at least know what you're fighting for. He's talking about black people in the Korean War in the 1950s. He sent you, basically, drafted and sent your black asses over there to Korea to face 800 million Chinese. And you was brave over there. But you telling me you can't be brave right here in the streets of Philadelphia, in the streets of Baltimore, in the streets of New York, in the streets of Birmingham? You off all the way in Asia being brave against a Chinaman that'll blow your brains out. You stood against 800 million. But you supposed to be pussy here? No, sir. No, sir. If you could be brave over there, you could be brave over here. Talk to him, Malcolm. Fire. Where we at? Let's get it. All right. He says, I'm not a politician, not even a student of politics. In fact, I'm not a student of much of anything. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. And I don't even consider myself an American. We're going to have to unpack that. But he'll do it. Let him do it, right? If you and I were Americans, you'd be no problem. Those honkies that just got off the boat, they're already Americans. Polacks are already American, Polish people, right? He says, these people come from Poland. They're Polacks. They're already Americans. The Italian refugees that got off them boats are already Americans. They not in the streets getting hosed and fighting for their rights like you. This is what he's saying. Everything that came out of Europe, every blue-eyed thing is already an American. And as long as you and I have been over here, we aren't Americans yet. Well, I am one who doesn't believe in deluding myself. I'm not going to sit at the table and watch you eat with nothing on my plate and call myself a diner. Sitting at the table doesn't make you a diner. unless you eat some of what's on that plate. Being here in America doesn't make you an American. Being born here in America doesn't make you an American. Why? If birth made you an American, you wouldn't need any legislation. You wouldn't need any amendments to the Constitution. You wouldn't be faced with civil rights filibustering in Washington, D.C. right now. They don't have to pass civil rights legislation to make a Polak an American. So why would they have to pass legislation to make you an American? Right? This means that you are not an American. He was telling black people, you Negroes are fighting and foaming at the mouth and marching, right? And you're not even Americans. Because if you was an American, you wouldn't have to go through that. Your rights would be guaranteed by the fact that you're an American. They would need no amendments. The Constitution already tells you what's guaranteed to a citizen, what's his rights. All of these things are inalienable to a goddamn citizen. So the fact that you need extra legislation, extra amendments, means that you are not an American citizen, no matter what they say to you. He said, I'm not here to delude myself. Brass, where you at? Talk that motherfucking political science. Now go kick Malcolm X's ass if you can. All right? He says, no, I'm not an American. I'm one of the 22 million black people who are the victims of Americanism. Think about that. He says, no, I'm not an American. I'm one of the 22 million black people who are the victims of Americanism. One of the 22 million black people who are the victims of democracy. Nothing but disguised hypocrisy. So I'm not standing here speaking to you as an American or a patriot or a flag saluter or a flag waver. No, not I. I'm speaking as a victim of this American system. And I see America through the eyes of the victim. I don't see any American dream. I see an American nightmare. Now, is that a shot at MLK? It's no American dream to us. He said, we are victims of the American nightmare. James, I don't know what you're talking about. Leave me alone. I'm trying to do something here. The hell? All right. These 22 million victims, I'm not saying whether I agree or not, right? I haven't read MLK letter yet. I'm comparing them to each other. So you don't know what I think. Leave me alone. I'm just trying to express Malcolm X's point and how this brother beautifully articulated this shit. This is brilliance right here, right? He says, these 22 million victims are waking up. Their eyes are coming open. They're beginning to see what they used to only look at. Think about that. They're beginning to see what they used to only look at. Seeing and looking. They're beginning to see. They're beginning to see what they used to look at. I looked at that. No, I see that. I could look at something, but don't see what I'm actually looking at. To see it in this reference means to understand what they're looking at. without all of the fluff of Americanism and the polites that they teach you in school, right? And you know what the politicians tell you when they come to your community to get your votes. He says now they're beginning to see what they have been previously looking at. They're understanding it. They're waking up. All right? They're becoming politically mature. They are realizing that there are new political trends from coast to coast. As they see these new political trends, it's possible for them to see that every time there's an election, the races are so close that they have to have a recount. They had to recount in Massachusetts to see who was going to be governor. It was so close. It was the same way in Rhode Island, in Minnesota, and in many other parts of the country. And the same with Kennedy and Nixon. When they ran for president, it was so close that they had to count all over again. Well, what does this mean? It means that when white people are evenly divided and black people have a block of votes of their own, it is left up to them to determine who's going to sit in the White House and who's going to be in the doghouse. Now, he's telling you in 1964 how to form your voting as a block. Don't just aimlessly give it to one party, what we have been doing since the early 60s up into now, right? He's saying, don't just give it aimlessly to one. You stand back. You stand back, right? And let the majority folk even out. And now they'll have to come to you with something of substance in order for you to change the tide. It was the black man's vote that put the present administration into Washington, D.C. Your vote, your dumb vote, your ignorant vote, your wasted vote, put in an administration in Washington, D.C. that has seen fit to pass every kind of legislation imaginable, saving you until last. Then filibustering on top of that. And your and my leaders have the audacity to run around clapping their hands and talking about how much progress we're making. And what a good president we have. Right? Now, he's saying that in 1960, right, we put Kennedy in office with the promise of all of this legislation and all of it. And he's saying, here it is, 1964 election year then rolled around again, right? Kennedy gone, he didn't got his issue, right? So his vice president was president and running for president now. So he's saying, and now, after all of this, at the end, they're talking about, you know what I mean? They done passed all these bills from 60 to, 64. They done passed all these bills. And now they're going to deal with your issue. At the end, when it's time to vote again, when it's time to put somebody, he's saying that they're playing games. Here it is, Johnson, and he's telling y'all about to vote for a goddamn a goddamn Texan now. Texas was goddamn one of the most racist states in the goddamn union. And here it is, black people is about to vote for a goddamn Texan, a white Texan. Are y'all crazy? Tell him, Malcolm. He says it was the black man's vote that put the present administration in Washington, D.C., your vote, your dumb vote, your ignorant vote, your wasted vote, put an administration in Washington, D.C. that has been fit, that has seen fit, right, to pass every kind of legislation imaginable, saving you until last. Then filibustering on top of that. Then when they get to the issues of the black man, they filibuster on the floor. Instead of dealing with your issue and you put them in office. And you and my leaders have the audacity to run around clapping their hands, talking about how much progress we're making. And what a good president we have. If he wasn't good in Texas, talking about Johnson, Lyndon Johnson, right? He says, if he wasn't good in Texas, he sure can't be good in Washington, D.C., right? How do you get, listen. Come on, focus, y'all, focus. Hold on, let me switch cameras. Listen. He's saying, if President Lyndon Baines Johnson was serious about fixing the Negro issue in Washington, D.C. as the president, then he had 20 years before that in Texas. Why didn't he fix the racism in Texas, where he lived in his own state, one of the most racist states in the Union? If he was serious about fixing the Negro problem in America, he could have been did it in his own state. That's a bomb. I don't even got no damn bombs on my goddamn soundboard. God damn it. I gotta get some bombs. Think about that. He said, you fools sitting here about to vote for a goddamn Texan white man? See how practical this guy was, man? Like, sometimes you need to hear, you know what I mean, the simple truth. The simple truth, y'all. Right? Let's go. All right. He says if he wasn't good in Texas, he sure can't be good in Washington, D.C., because Texas is a lynch state. God, he said if he wasn't good in Texas, then he can't be good in D.C., because Texas is a lynch state. They was still lynching niggas in Texas. It is in the same breath as Mississippi, no different. Only they lynch you in Texas with a Texas accent and lynch you in Mississippi with a Mississippi accent. And these Negro leaders have the audacity to go and have some coffee in the White House with a Texan, a Southern cracker. That's all he is. and then come out and tell you and me that he's going to be better for us because since he's from the South, he knows how to deal with the Southerners. He says, what kind of logic is that? Let Eastland be president. He's from the South too. He should be better able to deal with them than Johnson. Eastland from Mississippi. So if you niggas think putting a Southern racist cracker in office to fix your problems, then won't you just go get Eastland? Right? He from the Mississippi. You see how Mississippi treat Negroes? Let's go, Malcolm. The Ballot or the Bullet. In this present administration, they have in the House of Representatives 257 Democrats to only 177 Republicans. They control 2/3 of the House vote. Why can't they pass something that will help you and me? In the Senate, there are 67 senators who are of the Democratic Party. Only 33 of them are Republicans. Why the Democrats have got the government sold up and you're the one who sold it up for them, meaning you put them Democrats in office. You put them in office. You gave them the majority in the House and in the Senate, and they still haven't passed meaningful legislation for you. The Republicans are not holding you back. What is going on here, y'all? Talk to me. And what have they given you for it? 4 years in office and just now getting around to some civil rights legislation. Just now, after everything else is gone out the way, they're going to sit down now and play with you all summer long. The same old giant con game that they call filibuster. All those are in cahoots together, meaning the Democrats and the Republicans. Don't you ever think they're not in cahoots together? For the man that is heading the civil rights filibuster is asked for when he go, hold on. Don't you ever think they're not in cahoots together? For the man that is heading the civil rights filibuster is a man from Georgia named Richard Russell. When Johnson became president, the first man he asked for when he got back to D.C. was Dickie. Dickie or Dick is short for Richard, y'all. Right? So he's talking about Richard Russell. Richard Russell was spearheading the filibuster on the floor. Right? So he's saying President Johnson, when he was sworn into office after Kennedy was assassinated, right? When he got back to D.C., the first person he asked for was Richard Russell, Dickie. That's how tight they are. He asked for him by the name of Dickie, right? He said, that's his boy. That's his pal. That's his buddy. But they're playing that old con game. One of them makes you believe, makes, hold on, one of them makes believe he's for you. And he's got it fixed where the other one is so tight against you, he never has to keep his promise. So it's time in 1964 to wake up. And when you see them coming up with that kind of conspiracy, let them know your eyes are open. And let them know you something else that's wide open too. It's got to be the ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet. If you're afraid to use an expression like that, you should get out of the country. You should get back in the cotton patch. You should get back in the alley. They get all the Negro votes. And after they get it, the Negro gets nothing in return. All they did when they got to Washington was give a few big camouflage was to get Negroes big jobs. Those big Negroes didn't need big jobs. They already had jobs. That's camouflage. That's trickery. That's treachery. Window dressing. I'm not trying to knock out the Democrats for the Republicans. We'll get to them in a minute. But it is true. You put the Democrats first, and the Democrats put you last. He said that in 1964, y'all. He said that in 1964. He said the black vote has put the Democrats first, and they put you last. Meaning the last things that they argued on the floor, you ain't come up into 1964 when it was time for them to get reelected. The ballot or the bullet. Let's continue. I'm sorry. Look at it the way it is. What alibis do they use since they control Congress and the Senate? What alibi do they use when you and I ask, well, when are you going to keep your promise? They blame the Dixiecrats. What is a Dixiecrat? A Democrat. A Democrat. A Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat in disguise. The titular head of the Democrats is also the head of the Dixiecrats because the Dixiecrats are a part of the Democratic Party. The Democrats have never kicked the Dixiecrats out of the party. The Dixiecrats bolted themselves once the Democrats didn't put them out. Imagine these low-down Southern segregationists put the Northern Democrats down, but the Northern Democrats have never put the Dixiecrats down. No, look at the thing the way it is. They have got a con game going on, a political con game. And you and I are in the middle. It's time for you and me to wake up and start looking at it like it is and try to understand it like it is. And then we can deal with it like it is. The Dixiecrats in Washington, D.C. control the key committees that run the government. The only reason the Dixiecrats control these committees is because they have seniority. The only reason they have seniority is because they come from states where Negroes can't vote. This is not even a government that's based on democracy. It is not a government that is made up of representatives of the people. Half of the people in the South can't even vote. Eastland is not even supposed to be in Washington. Half of the senators and congressmen who occupy these key positions in Washington, D.C. are there illegally, are there unconstitutionally. I should stop this. I should stop this, right? So how do you look at Malcolm X as just a Muslim or a minister? You can't. You can't. He told you in the beginning of this speech, let's throw all that shit to the side. We're going to put all that religious shit to the side. And let's talk about it for what it really is. And he's giving it to you. He said that if half the Negroes in the South can't vote, then the Dixiecrats that's in control of all of the key committees in the 1950s and 60s, right? Then they are in office illegally. Why nobody never broke this down to us like this? He called into question the legitimacy of the government. He's saying that this government that's in Washington, D.C. right now is not even a legitimate government. I'm going to read that again. He says, the Dixiecrats in Washington, D.C. control the key. My bad, let me put this back on screen. I'm sorry. The Dixiecrats in Washington, D.C. control the key committees that run the government. The only reason the Dixiecrats control these committees is because they have seniority. The only reason they have seniority is because they come from states where Negroes can't vote. This is not even a government that's based on democracy. It is not a government that is made up of representatives of the people. Half of the people in the South can't even vote. Eastland is not even supposed to be in Washington. Half of the senators and congressmen who occupy these key positions in Washington, D.C. are there illegally, are there unconstitutionally. I think we're going to have to do two parts, y'all. I think we're going to have to do two parts. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do two parts. He says, I was in Washington, D.C. a week ago, Thursday, when they were debating whether or not they should let the bill come on the floor, onto the floor. And in the back of the room, in the back of the room where the Senate meets, there's a huge map of the United States. On that map, it shows the locations of Negroes throughout the country. And it shows that the southern section of the country, the states that are most heavily concentrated with Negroes, are the ones that have senators and congressmen standing up, filibustering, and doing all other kinds of trickery to keep the Negro from being able to vote. This is pitiful. But it's not pitiful for us any longer. It's actually pitiful for the white man, because soon now, as the Negro awakens, as a little more sees the vase, and sees the vase that he's in, sees the bag that he's in, sees the real game that he's in, then the Negroes going to develop a new tactic. These senators and congressmen actually violate the constitutional amendments that guarantee the people of that particular state or county the right to vote. And the Constitution itself has within it the machinery to expel any representative from a state where the voting rights of the people are violated. You don't even need new legislation. Any person in Congress right now who is there from a state or a district where the voting rights of the people are violated, that particular person should be expelled from Congress. And when you expel him, you've removed one of the obstacles in the path of any real meaningful legislation in this country. In fact, when you expel them, you don't need new legislation, because they will be replaced by black representatives from counties and districts where the black man is in the majority, not in the minority. If the black man in these southern states had his full voting rights, the key Dixiecrats in Washington, D.C., which means the key Democrats in Washington, D.C., would lose their seats. The Democratic Party itself would lose its power. It would cease to be powerful as a party. When you see the amount of power that would be lost by the Democratic Party if it were to lose the Dixiecrat wing or branch or element, you can see where it's against the interests of the Democrats to give voting rights to Negroes. In states where the Democrats have been in complete power and authority ever since the Civil War. You just can't belong to that party without analyzing it. I say again, I'm not an anti-Democrat. I'm not an anti-Republican. I'm not an anti-anything. I'm just questioning the sincerity and some of the strategy that they've been using on our people by promising them promises that they don't intend to keep. When you keep the Democrats in power, you're keeping the Dixiecrats in power. I doubt that my good brother Lomax will deny that. A vote for a Democrat is a vote for a Dixiecrat. That's why in 1964, it's time now for you and me to become more politically mature and realize that the ballot is for what we're supposed to get when we cast a ballot. And that if we don't cast a ballot, it's going to end up in a situation where we're going to have to cast a bullet. It's either the ballot or the bullet. In the North, they do it a different way. They have a system that's known as gerrymandering. Whatever that means. It means when Negroes become too heavily concentrated in a certain area and begin to gain too much political power, the white man comes along and changes the district lines. You may say, why do you keep saying white man? Because it's the white man who does it. I haven't ever seen any Negro changing any lines. They don't let him get near the line. It's the white man who does this. And usually, it's the white man who grins at you the most and pats you on the back and is supposed to be your friend. He may be friendly, but he's not your friend. So what am I trying to impress upon you? In essence, is this. You and I in America are faced not with a segregationist conspiracy. We're faced with a government conspiracy. That's a body shot. That's a body shot. He said, you and I in America are not faced with a segregationist conspiracy. We're faced with a government conspiracy. That's a bar, Shakir and Brass. Everyone who's filibustering is a senator. That's the government. Everyone who is finagling in Washington, D.C. is a congressman. That's the government. You don't have anybody putting blocks in your path, but people who are a part of the government. The same government that you go abroad to fight for and die for is the government that is in a conspiracy to deprive you of your voting rights and deprive you of your economic opportunities, deprive you of decent housing, deprive you of decent education. You don't need to go to the employer alone. It is the government itself, the government of America, that is responsible for the oppression and exploitation and the degradation of the black people in this country. And you should drop it in their lap. This government has failed the Negro. This so-called democracy has failed the Negro. And all these white liberals have definitely failed the Negro. So where do we go from here? First, we need some friends. We need some new allies. The entire civil rights struggle needs a new interpretation, a broader interpretation. We need to look at the civil rights thing from another angle, from the inside as well as from the outside. To those of us whose philosophy is black nationalism, the only way you can get involved in the civil rights struggle is to give it a new interpretation. That old interpretation excluded us. It kept us out. So we're giving a new interpretation to the civil rights struggle. An interpretation that will enable us to come into it, take part in it, and these handkerchief heads who have been dilly-dallying and pussyfooting and compromising, we don't intend to let them pussyfoot and dilly-dally and compromise any longer. Come on, let's get it. How can you thank a man for giving you what's already yours? Think about that. How could you thank a man for giving you what's already yours? How then can you thank him for giving you only part of what's already yours? You haven't even made progress. If what's been given to you, you should have already, should have had already. I apologize. That's not progress. And I love my brother Lomax. The way he pointed out, we're right back where we were in 1954. We're not even as far up as we were in 1954. We're behind where we were in 1954. There's more segregation now than there was in 1954. There's more racial animosity. more racial hatred, more racial violence today in 1964 than there was in 1954. Where's the progress? And now you're facing a situation where the young Negroes coming up, they don't want to hear that turn the other cheek stuff. No. In Jacksonville, those were teenagers. They were throwing Molotov cocktails. Negroes have never done that before. But it shows you there's a new deal coming in. This preceded 1968, y'all. He was telling y'all this. There's a new thinking coming in. There's a new strategy coming in. It'll be Molotov cocktails this month, hand grenades next month, and something else next month. It'll be ballots or it'll be bullets. It'll be liberty or it will be death. The only difference about this kind of death, it'll be reciprocal, meaning even Steven. You know what it means to be mean by reciprocal. That's one of Brother Lomax's words. I stole it from him. I don't usually deal with those big words because I don't usually deal with big people. I deal with small people. I find you can get a whole lot of small people and whip hell out of a whole lot of big people. They haven't got anything to lose. And they've got everything to gain. And they'll let you know in a minute. It takes two to tango. When I go, you go. The black nationalists, those whose philosophy is black nationalism, is bringing about this new interpretation of the entire civil rights. Look upon it as meaning, as Brother Lomax has pointed out, equality of opportunity. Well, we're justified in seeking civil rights. If it means equality of opportunity, because all we're doing there is trying to collect for our investment. Our mothers and fathers invested sweat and blood. 310 years we worked in this country without a dime in return. I mean, without a dime in return. You let the white man walk around here talking about how rich this country is, but you never stop to think how it got rich so quick. It got rich because you made it rich. You take the people who are in this audience right now. They're poor. We're all poor as individuals. Our weekly salary individually amounts to hardly anything. But if you take the salary of everyone in here collectively, it'll fill up a whole lot of baskets. It's a lot of wealth. If you can collect the wages of just these people right here for a year, you'll be rich. Richer than rich. When you look at it like that, think how rich Uncle Sam had to become. Not with this handful, but with millions of black people. your and my mother and father, who didn't work any 8-hour shifts, but worked from can't see in the morning into can't see at night, and worked for nothing, making the white man rich, making Uncle Sam rich. This is our investment. This is our contribution, our blood. Not only did we give our free labor, we gave our blood. Every time he had a call to arms, we were the first ones in uniform. We died on every battlefield the white man had. We have made a greater sacrifice than anybody who's standing up in America today. We have made a greater contribution and have collected less. Civil rights for those of us whose philosophy is black nationalism means give it to us now. Don't wait for next year. Give it to us yesterday. And that's not fast enough. I might stop right here to point out one thing. Whenever you're going somewhere, whenever you're going after something that belongs to you, anyone who is depriving you of the right to have it is a criminal. Understand that. I'm going to read that again. Whenever you're going after something that belongs to you, anyone who's depriving you of the right to have it is criminal. Understand that. Whenever you are going after something that is yours, you are within your legal rights to lay claim to it. And anyone who puts forth an effort to deprive you of that which is yours is breaking the law, is a criminal. And this was pointed out by the Supreme Court decision. It outlawed segregation, which means segregation is against the law, which means a segregationist is breaking the law. A segregationist is a criminal. You can't label him as anything other than that. And when you demonstrate against segregation, the law is on your side. The Supreme Court is on your side. Now, who is it that opposes you in carrying out the law? The police department itself, with police dogs in clubs. Whenever you demonstrate against segregation, whether it is segregated education, segregated housing, or anything else, the law is on your side. And anyone who stands in the way is not the law any longer. They are breaking the law. They are not representatives of the law. Anytime you demonstrate against segregation and a man has the audacity to put a police dog on you, kill that dog. Kill him and I'm telling you, kill that dog. I say it. If they put me in jail tomorrow, kill that dog. Then you'll put a stop to it. Now, if these white people in here don't want to see that kind of action, get down and tell the mayor to tell the police department to pull the dogs in. That's all you have to do. If you don't do it, someone else will. If you don't take this kind of stand, your little children will grow up and look at you and think shame. If you don't take an uncompromising stand, I don't mean go out and get violent, but at the same time, you should never be nonviolent unless you run into someone nonviolence. I'm sorry. If you don't take an uncompromising stand, I don't mean go out and get violent. But at the same time, you should never be nonviolent unless you run into some nonviolence. I'm nonviolent with those who are nonviolent with me. But when you drop that violence on me, then you've made me go insane. And I'm not responsible for what I do. And that's the way every Negro should get. Anytime you know you're within the law, within your legal rights, within your moral rights, in accord with justice, then die for what you believe in. But don't die alone. Let your dying be reciprocal. This is what is meant by equality. Woo! What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Wow. He said that's equality. Hey, y'all, I got to wrap this up. I'm going to have to do a part 2 tomorrow, man. But, man, this is so good. So we are going to leave off right there. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. All right? I promise y'all, we're going to be back tomorrow and we're going to finish this up. Okay? I wasn't even able to get to the ballot through the ballot of the bullet, and we still got to get to Martin Luther King's masterpiece from Birmingham Jail, right? The letter to the clergy. I can't wait to read that. I can't wait to read that for y'all. I'm so excited to read that for y'all because it shows that Martin Luther King was not a pacifist at all. When you read that letter, when we read that letter together, we're going to see just how radical Martin Luther King was. Right? We're going to see it. He was uncompromising. He was uncompromising in getting us our civil rights and the freedom and justice that we was long overdue. He was uncompromising. Right? Nonviolent direct action was a non-compromising response. All right? So tomorrow, y'all, we're going to get into it. I hope y'all enjoyed this. And do me a favor, please. Help your boy out. And please go subscribe to the new Chef Madness channel. Chef Madness is coming back. Y'all see, I'm reinvigorated, right? Facts, Brass. Hey, Brad, I might need you up here tomorrow, right, to help me out with this so we can get through it. All right. So definitely I need to change that color on that. But yeah, man, listen, I didn't even set up all my new equipment, right? I'm so excited for Chef Madness reboot. I'm excited about, we have a couple of other new things that's coming, right, in September. We're going to get them off the ground. We have a fantasy football league that we're doing. Fire. right? Get in the Discord. Not only do we have a fantasy football league, Low Key Genius, right? Low Key Genius. Low Key Genius. Y'all subscribe to Low Key Genius. Low Key Genius is a new platform that we're launching. All right, this is a new platform that we're launching, and it's going to deal with more debates, presentations, clean shit, right? We're going to put money in people's pockets, the debaters, right? So get in the Discord, right? We feel like y'all information should put money in y'all pockets, and we're willing to raise money, to put money in your pockets for y'all contributions to our education and our entertainment. Because at the end of the day, this is entertainment, and hopefully we get something out of being entertained. All right. So without further ado, tomorrow, part 2, the continuation of the ballot or the bullet, right? Versus the letter from the Birmingham Jail. All right, y'all. We out of here. I appreciate everybody. Hit the like button on your way out and subscribe to Chef Madness and the Low Key Genius. All right. And if you want more, get in our Discord. We have these conversations in our Discord all day, every day. It is our personal radio station. How many times am I going to tell y'all this? We start early in the morning. We get it cracking. Right? Most of us use these platforms like YouTube and Discord as our personal entertainment and our new form of radio. It is our way of sharing information, and is a connected community, and we got something great going on over here. You know what I mean? And I want everybody to participate, right? So that's the Tri-Media Discord. Join it. Even the pseudo killers. Join the pseudo killers Discord. Just get active, right? Participate and sow into the people that's bringing you this content. All right? I'm out. You out. I'm out. We all out. Boom. And let's get ready to rumble. OG, we be working while we be online. We be working. We be at our jobs. You know what I mean? Brass and them work at computers. So they be at their computer, chilling, doing their work, blase, you know? Sid be in the studio, you know what I mean? DQ in the shop, you know what I mean? Or in the studio. Corey be on a goddamn construction site. You feel me? Yeah, that camera is fire. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? The camera is fire. Out of my new equipment, right? Oh, let me put that back up. Out of my new equipment, right? I brought a whole bunch of new equipment, spent thousands of dollars. I'm crazy, right? And I already had fire equipment already, if y'all see what the fuck. But I said, I told Brass and them, I said, man, listen, whenever I start something new or you tell me something, I go totally in. This is the only thing that I set up so far. I have new computer, everything, right? New lights, everything, all right? I got new stuff for the background, all kind of shit, right? But the camera, I was so excited to set the camera up. So I set the camera up, but that's the only thing that I didn't set up so far, right, for the new look, because we're going to do this thing clean, y'all. We're going to get to it, right? But I went and brought, I watch Information Man a lot. The Information Man, subscribe to his channel, Fire Channel. And I kept looking at your channel, I'm like, man, your camera is crazy, right? And I said, I bet you're using Sony. I said, I bet you he using one of them goddamn Sony cameras, right? And I have Canon, right? Canon, great quality. And I'll show y'all the side-by-side of the cameras, right? But the Canon, when I use my Canon camera, it does an amazing job. But I'm like, man, that Sony, man, is kicking ass, right? I have Fuji, I have so many different cameras, and then it all depends on the lens. I spent just $1,600 on the lens alone, right? The camera was $2,500. The lens was $1,600 by itself. And this is not even the only lens that I brought, but the lens alone was $1,600, right? So that's why it's so tack sharp and crisp. You see how we get the background out of focus. You dig what I'm saying? Got the color temperature. You dig what I'm saying? The autofocus, and the main reason that I really wanted it was because of the autofocus, right? On this camera, right, the autofocus does, look, I'm out. We can do a whole show about equipment, but I appreciate y'all noticing the crispness of it, right? One day I'm gonna do a show on my equipment for all of the content creators, right? I want to do a show on my equipment, what I use, right? Man, you don't have to get what I have. And you don't have to buy the soundboards and the expensive mics and stuff that I have. We can do it on a cheaper budget. But if you're going to make content, invest in it, right? You can start with a smartphone, but eventually get that shit up there. All right, I'm out, y'all. I'm tripping. Tomorrow, part 2 of the Ballot of the Bullet. The Ballot of the Bullet versus the letter from Birmingham Jail, part 2. Get in the Discord. We're going to keep the conversation going.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world.
Pull up the seat and pull out the shot glass. Hard deliveries for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up balling out on they fraud ass. The coalition of bitches, they talk trash. On the mission to fit in your soft ass. Rolling green and clubbing this golf class. Loaded lust couldn't say they lost ass. The conscious community streets is all sad. Niggas be thinking they heat, they all last. Be conscious of all the sand in the hourglass. Be humble when be prepared when the power pass. Old and young niggas, we all class. Ideology different, we move the ball fast. Yeah, these chickens is out of season, we haul ass. There's a reason we undefeated, it's all fast. Pull up the seat and pull out a shot glass. Hard deliveries for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up balling out on they fraud ass. Pull up the seat and pull out a shot glass. Hard deliveries for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast.